If you've spent more than 8 seconds online, you've almost certainly been bombarded by videos and adverts from 22-year-old kids telling you how rich they are and how it's easy actually. And it drives me nuts. Because if you're anything like me, you've been grinding and struggling for years, and then you have some child tell you that they're running a $10 million plus agency. I went deep and I researched dozens of these guys to show exactly what your business is doing wrong, what you can copy, and the deep, terrible secret that they are all holding, which you need to avoid like the plague. And you have no idea how insane these scams get and how deep they go. One of these clowns even makes fun of 22 terrorist attack victims 3 days after a terrorist attack. Now, this first point is something that you can copy and you can see awesome results with. Genuinely, this is where you can make more money without doing anything shady. McDonald's makes awful food, right? Almost anyone in the world would say that they can probably make a better burger than McDonald's. So why is their food so popular? Now, this is one thing that you can copy. It's not hype selling or pressure selling. It's not spammy or scammy. When was the last time you were pressure sailed into buying McDonald's? Have you ever looked at these guys and asked yourself, what is it that they actually sell? Is it a course? Is it a coaching program or something? Is it an affiliate? Ugh. Imagine. Right, but that's kind of my point. They don't sell what they do. They are selling an appealing lifestyle and a solution to a problem. Absolutely, the argument should be made that they attract teenagers and other young men and women too naive to realize that they're buying into a pipe dream. But that means that you have a massive advantage because your product is good. You will care about your customers and you most likely want to do good work. So what we need to do is package up your service and sell the result, not the work itself. Now, this next part you have absolutely no control over, but it does explain why so many of these morons are hyper wealthy. It's a sad truth, but the quality of the work does not sell the work. The picture that you paint of the customer's future and how clearly you make their problems seem solvable, that is what makes sales. Trying to compare yourself to people who appear successful when they started with this next piece, though, will drive you insane. So this is something I came across, and you need to avoid comparing yourself to anyone who falls into this category, and there's a lot of them. So imagine that you're in a foot race, like a running race, between you and somebody else. You've got a regular pair of shoes, and they have a bike, and they get to start 10 years ahead of you. Iman Gadzhi is a British entrepreneur, digital marketer, YouTube channel. He talks about financial independence and entrepreneurship and that type of stuff. He's a pretty stereotypical influencer who posts videos about being super wealthy and successful and how he bought his mum a house. However, something he fails to mention is that his stepfather is literally a millionaire.
Ooh.
Now, that doesn't mean he hasn't achieved his own success or made his own wealth, and I can hear people typing in the comments now, his stepfather left, whatever. Let's be honest, it is exponentially easier to run a 7-figure business and to reach that status when you are given an investment from your millionaire stepfather after living in and building network connections in Hampstead, London. Again, that's not to say that you can't have wealthy parents or that even, Iman is misleading people, but it's not fair to compare where you are today to where he is after a lot of advantages. Plus, Iman seems to have a bit of a habit of exaggerating a little about how much he actually earns. Which leads me to my next point, that you're not just comparing yourself to people who already have an advantage, you're comparing yourself to something impossible to achieve. Did you ever have the kid at school who claimed that his uncle worked for Nintendo and that he'd played an unreleased version of Mario? We've all got friends who've claimed to be invited to the royal wedding or who have lived in 130 countries. For example, this is Charlie Morgan. He's an agency YouTuber. And in this video, $0 to $1 million per month, my experience, he talks about his experience getting to $1 million a month, or near enough, as he puts it.
Which is near enough where I'm at right now.
And then later he explains that he's at around 850,000 to 1 million a month in booked revenue, which is not revenue. And then finally he explains it's about 600,000 a month in cash collected.
Now I can't tell you what to do to get beyond $1 million a month because I haven't done that. My business Imperium Acquisition currently makes about $800,000 to $1 million in booked revenue every single month. Our cash collected is about $600K a month.
So we're now already at 60% of the expected promise, which apparently isn't considered clickbait if you explain that to the audience. Now, I'm not having a go at Charlie, but this is an example of where business gurus with nothing to sell you will inflate their numbers in order to attract views. And he's not the only one who does this. In fact, there are a shocking number of business experts and gurus who never seem to have records with HMRC, which is kind of like the UK's equivalent of the IRS, showing that they earn as much as they state. And it gets crazier. This is where this gets genuinely bananas. Fernando Perez Algabar was a crypto influencer guru who became a millionaire after investing in the right thing at the right time. He attributed that growth to his genius level financial knowledge, despite never being able to replicate it. Now, he posted pictures on social media of fast cars, exotic locations, stacks of cash, that usual like sort of bro marketer shit, awful tattoos included. However, he was given a large inheritance from his father, right? More of that dumb luck I mentioned earlier. So, like some other people in this video, he had a massive head start with a stack of cash to start other businesses. But despite him constantly saying otherwise, it turns out he was losing way more money than he was making, and he had borrowed a lot of money to rent cars and look successful. This is where this gets mental. It turns out he borrowed money from the wrong people, because he was found chopped up inside a suitcase, this is absolutely true, in Argentina. On July 23rd, two children playing at the riverside under a bridge in Buenos Aires found a suitcase containing the 41-year-old's torso and limbs. His head was later found by police in a rucksack downstream. There's this geezer called Jason Wojo, who's another example. Now, he poured his particular brand of emaciated child, desperately trying to grow facial hair and suffers from ED, but trying to compensate with fast cars and a rich lifestyle, all over TikTok with his ads and his claims that he was a self-made millionaire, which he was not. He wasn't even a millionaire. He had a string of successful SMMA businesses, which he did not. And he had cracked the code on scaling a 6 to 7 figure business, which he did not. All the cars and the holidays and the exotic locations, literally all borrowed and rented. Now, he probably does make a decent living conning teenagers too naive to know what confidence over competence looks like, but that is nothing compared to the straight up scams. The reason that some of these kids are super wealthy is because they are literally stealing from people. You know who Tai Lopez is? He's the 5'9" in internet height, which is probably closer to 5'7" in real life, who advertised the shit out of YouTube a while back. I can make you millions, I'm a self-made millionaire, you know the twat. Now, what Tai doesn't tell you is that he made millions with an online dating site that you'd only have to pay for when you got a message. The problem is that it was Tai and his team sending the messages so that you'd sign up, read a fake message, chat to a bot for a while, and then have a hard time cancelling your subscription. Imagine this man sending you a flirty and spicy text pretending to be April 23.
You got scammed.
And he did this again, where he attempted to teach the secrets of real estate, despite the fact that he knows fuck all about real estate. Now, he couldn't explain an extremely simple but commonly used real estate formula called cap rate. Now, I don't know anything about real estate either, so I had to look this up. I love this video of him getting called out and roasted about it, and it's clear that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I'm actually curious about your real estate chops, all right? So give me the formula for a cap rate. Can you define what a cap rate is?
So let's talk about real estate for a second. Let's two things.
No. Define the formula of a cap rate. Do you know what a cap rate is?
It's like ROI in the stock market. They call it cap rate.
No, it's not.
It's very similar.
Actual formula for a cap rate.
All right, John, can I say one thing on real estate?
Ty, you cannot teach a real estate course, and I love you, bro.
John,
But you cannot teach a real estate course if you can't tell me the formula of a cap rate.
And he's doing this again with his new crypto offering. And he's not the only one. Logan Paul, Jordan Belfort, Boogie2988, that YouTuber, all these guys love to promote the latest bullshit scam to make millions and then drop it once they've cashed in. So why do people keep falling for this shit? A really powerful way to con people is to play into their beliefs. You can make a lot of money if you pretend to solve a problem that can't be fixed. This is kind of the equivalent of selling end of the world nuclear apocalypse prepper kit to people who believe that the apocalypse is right around the corner. This is a very important distinction that is so subtle it can go completely unnoticed. It's the same reason that people often turn to religion in times of hardship and struggle. Lots of these guys specifically target people with a particular mindset. A victim mindset is someone who believes the world happens to them. They often consider themselves unlucky or downtrodden. They want people to treat them differently or handle them with care. Essentially, people with victim mindsets need you to mollycoddle them because they can't handle their own emotions. Lots of the marketing around this type of product would be stuff like, do you feel women only go out with the bad guys and ignore you, the good guy? Or, you work hard and you obey the rules, but the world still treats you like shit. And stuff like, do you feel you deserve what others have? This type of mindset is extremely easy to target because A, it's always true for many people, and B, there is a never-ending supply. They use terms like alpha and sigma, as well as broad, sweeping statements about people who they believe hold all the power. Side note, I've never met anyone who unironically uses the term alpha or sigma who doesn't look like a wet sack of rocks covered in greasy hair. Now, if this sounds like a conspiracy theorist or conspiracy theory type thought, you'd be right, because people who believe in conspiracy theories also have a similar victim-based mindset, where what happens to them is outside of their control and there's always someone to blame. Plus, when you're in the middle of a community and realize that it might not be as healthy or constructive as you first thought, it's impossible to make other people see that they're acting as victims because they can always find reasons that fit their point of view. If given the choice, victim mindset people would rather everyone else caters to their demands and makes them feel special. Create a product that encourages that and teaches that, and bam, you're good to go. In the book, The Courage to Be Disliked, Ishiro Kashimi says, such people try to make themselves special by way of their experience of misfortune, and with the single fact of their misfortune, try to place themselves above others. It's essentially a type of superiority complex by making yourself a victim of circumstance. Everyone knows that one guy who's always got it worse. He sort of like tries to one-up you with your bad news. Like if you've got cancer, he's got super cancer, right? That's who I'm talking about. It's super easy to sell a product aimed at victims, perpetuating the victim mindset, and sold by people who also consider themselves victims. And I'm looking at you, Andrew Tate, you slimy brats looking crybaby, because what's really at stake here is your sanity, your mental health, and the love and the respect of those close to you who love you and care for you. Would your gran be proud of what you've done, not what you've got? If I told my grandmother that I had money and fame and followers, would she be proud of me for how I got there? On May 22nd, 2017, an Islamic terrorist suicide bombing killed 22 people in Manchester, England. It injured a further 1,000 people, some of whom have got life-changing injuries, and was the deadliest terror attack since the 7/7 bombings. And these were just kids, right? They were an Ariana Grande concert. Grant Cardone made fun of the bombings, comparing his sales expertise as blowing up more than the Manchester suicide terrorists.
I'm going nuclear, man. Okay, and that dude in Manchester got nothing on me, man. I'm blowing up.
So to be clear, time plus tragedy often does equal comedy. I like to make fun of the fact that there were fraud allegations made against Grant in 2020, but these comments were made on the 25th of May, 3 days after 22 people were killed. Also, I love how his little shiny haired, ready for TV teeth, Jordan Belfort wannabe mate says, too soon.
Is it too soon?
Too soon. Yeah. Too soon, yeah. Too soon.
When he realizes that Grant 5'9" is a piece of shit. And he is a piece of shit. Most of them are. What I've never understood about these guys, like if we take Andrew, I literally have to trick women into sleeping with me, Tate, for example, is that you can divide their advice into 3 general buckets. One bucket, bit very small, might have fairly good advice in it. Start a business, invest, save your money, work hard. It's pretty generic and it's sort of non-specific, but it's good nonetheless, regardless of who says it. Another bucket might have sort of dull or even bad advice, like telling people not to invest in crypto and then having a crypto investment course in your membership taught by someone who doesn't know anything about crypto. You know what I'm talking about, Andrew. And the final bucket has absolutely batshit insane, terrible advice that both doesn't make sense and makes people remember why you were likely chosen for Big Brother. Things like how women are worth less than men and the amount of money you have determines your value as a human being. You might as well deny climate change. Oh wait, you do that too. Let's say you do love all the advice, all that type of advice from those 3 guys. The fine advice, the mediocre advice, and the fucking batshit insane advice. You can still find people who spout this shit who at least haven't been arrested and formally charged with human trafficking and forming a criminal gang to exploit women. Why do people defend these guys? Why stand up for them? Why do people stand up for Russell Brand? They literally don't give a flying fuck about you. Why die on this hill? You have so many choices of terrible, inaccurate, middle of the road to misogynistic and chauvinistic naive advice. Why defend or follow people who repeatedly demonstrate that they are dangerous and evil and can't be trusted around women? And I know what people will say. They're defenders and they're customers who have bought into this shit. They'll say they're standing up for what's right, that, you know, innocent before proven guilty, how people like Tate are just being silenced and controlled by the mass media and, you know, left-wing liberal social justice warriors. Now, I've only viewed any of this moron's content from a sheer research perspective, him and his human centipede of a brother. Andrew, I Am a Giant Fuckwad Tate's course is, and I cannot overstate this, absolutely fucking awful. Truly, it is some of the most poorly written, middle of the road, dull and out of date content on the planet. The problem is when people attach their self-worth as a human being to the identity of celebrities. When you look up to someone and you spend money on them, you can convince yourself that it was worth it. This is known as the sunk cost fallacy, when people continue to invest in something because they've already invested significant time or effort or money, regardless of the costs or the benefits. This bias often leads individuals to justify and defend their choices to avoid the psychological discomfort of admitting a mistake. And remember that victim mindset from earlier? Read the defenses posted by anyone defending these types of people, and you will constantly find people with a victim conspiracy-based mindset. It's actually kind of sad. Look, I appreciate that this video is a lot heavier than I was intending, and it's a big departure from my usual stuff, but you know, sometimes you got to make one for you, you know. And in my experience, once you've passed a certain threshold of income, you become comfortable and you're less interested in this shit. The fame, the wealth, the money, the social clout, it all goes away when you're at a level that matters to you. And right now, you might feel like you're not there and these wankers have so much. But I promise you, most of it is fake. Don't focus on what others appear to have. Focus on what you want. Run your race. And if you liked this rant about why people suck, you should check out my other video up here on education and why it is designed to keep you poor and what you can do about it.